TNA. Peter Ndori is hosting it. It is in Sandton, and it's another one of our SABC New Age Breakfast briefings, and we're going to be discussing the road towards COP17. Looking forward to the conversation, and our guest of honor this morning is the Minister herself, Edna Molewa. A very, very good morning to you and your guests, Peter.
A very good morning to you, Leanne, and good morning to everybody that's watching from across the country and indeed across our borders, across the continent on Channel 404 on DSTV. Welcome to the program, and as Leanne was saying, we're in Sandton, just north of Johannesburg, and today we're taking a look at issues environmental. Now, we've got the local government elections that are coming up on the 3rd of August, and with that in mind, we thought that we'd explore the role that the environment plays, particularly at local government level, because at the end of the day, really, that's where most of the action is taking place. And so we'll be exploring some of the strides and some of the efforts that have been made by the department, working with the various partners at different spheres of government, provincial, local as well, and also how this has been able to unlock opportunities for our young people that are most vulnerable to unemployment. So to help us in that discussion, we're joined by 4 guests on stage and also an audience here that will be part of the conversation, joining you at home at Morning Live SABC. That's our Twitter handle, #TNA BizBrief, if you want to take part in this conversation. We certainly look forward to that. But let's welcome our guests. They're going to help us with this conversation, starting with the Minister of the Department of Environmental Affairs, Minister Edna Molewa. Thank you very much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much, Peter, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think the last time we spoke, you'd just come back from Paris, and amazing agreements had come into play, and there was a timetable of things going forward, weren't they? And all of those are going to filter down particularly to local government, but we'll explore that in a short while. Local government, well, we have an executive mayor, Steve Tshwete, local municipality, Councillor Mike Masina. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to you.
Thank you very much, Peter, for having me.
And we look forward to hearing what's happening on the ground in terms of your municipality, what's happening with green issues, environment issues, youth employment, and so on and so forth. Next to you, we're also looking at the city of Tshwane as an example of the kinds of things, initiatives that are happening with the MMC for Agriculture and Environment. Councillor Petunia Mashaba, thank you very much for joining us, MMC. Welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
And next to you, we have the Director General, who's, I guess, the Chief Executive Officer of the Department of Environmental Affairs. And I have to say that it's been voted the most efficient department in the country. So we want to find out why that is, and also kind of how you're working with all the other departments to make sure that the environmental issues stay on the agenda. So to you, Mrs. Nozipho Ngaba, thank you very much for joining us and welcome.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right, let's start with you, Minister. Sure, I don't even know where to start because it's such a...
Right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning. All right, let's look at this big picture, because I think when we talk about the Department of Environmental Affairs, we see this national department working, and often, you know, we see certain things in the news, whether it's climate change and so on and so forth, but at the end of it all, it really does happen through spheres, provincial government, all the way down to local government. And I just wonder, as a national department, how you put all of this together.
Peter, I always like, and all of our viewers at home, I always like reminding people of where we come from. Let me start there. As this country, just before 1994, by the way, remember, we didn't have wall-to-wall municipalities. Now we have those that are implementing these programs with us. We also didn't have environmental programs and even laws, by the way. We started right at the beginning by putting together laws, regulations that were flowing from Section 24 of our Constitution. And that then led to a process where we have a whole suite of laws that are ranging from, you name it, air quality, that are being implemented by various spheres of government. Now that as this new government, we've actually set ourselves in a very well-structured manner. And therefore, that process that started by just putting those sets of laws together, putting the municipalities and spheres of government together, enabled us to actually be able to then say who does what in this whole arena. And therefore, in the various laws that we have put in place, there are functions that municipalities perform, like, for instance, the air quality function belongs to waste management and so forth. So we then, overall, as the Department of Environmental Affairs at national level, help manage, put capacities in place where it's necessary. And rightfully, like you say, all of these then happens and gets manifested at a local government level. That's where performance happens, and to a larger extent also at provincial level. So that's the reason why we have air quality stations, for instance, in municipalities that are owned by municipalities that are, by the way, not air quality for the sake of having it, for the sake of ensuring that our people's lives and health are actually taken care of. We have a healthy nation. We also have to look at municipalities being capacitated fully to deal with waste management as a sector, amongst many others. We have climate change, which we referred to, which is now being implemented, which is the pre-2020 actions that we're implementing, that we agreed upon. And the pre-2020 actions also are implemented at a local government level. For instance, adaptation, ensuring that nobody throws rubble in water, throws dead everywhere and anywhere. Waste sites, disposal sites are well managed. The society and community looks good, and so forth. Those are the things that we are managing. By the way, remember that I've said earlier on that we come from a state of affairs where none of these actually existed. Now they do exist, and we are really improving systems on a continuous basis, going on and on.
All right, we'll unpack a lot of the things that you talked about and some of the initiatives that have flowed from the national department into the various levels down to local government. But let's talk local government, and let me start with you, Executive Mayor of the Steve Tshwete Local Municipality, Councillor Mike Masina. You know, when people talk about municipalities, they're often really talking about service delivery, and that's what they. But the environment is a big agenda item for you. Is it getting higher and up the agenda for you when you in your council meetings?
Absolutely. In actual fact, when the back to basics, approach was introduced, we're already in that space as the municipality, and we attribute our success stories to the fact that we adhere to principles in the area of waste management, in the area of water management, as well as in the area of energy efficiency. For an example, when it comes to management of waste, we make sure that we are not working in silos. We work in collaboration with the private sector, and that is where the power of P comes in, public-private partnership. And in particular, I must say, though I'm not sure if I'll be advertising them, Coca-Cola Shanduga has been a very reliable partner.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we look forward again to exploring some of the initiatives that have been happening, and also, you know, youth is another part of this conversation. Let's look at a bigger municipality, but a metro really, I guess. And I would imagine that your issues, manufacturing and all sorts of things are in there. The environment becomes even more critical, and changing the culture of citizens in a metro.
Yes, I think that is true. To change the culture of the citizens, it's not an easy task. It's something that you have to do all the time and repeatedly. In Tshwane, we are actually doing the separation at source, of which is coming on very well. But like I say, people will do it today, the next day then they forget, throw everything in the bin again. So it's an ongoing process to educate our people so that they understand this is what we need to do on a continuous basis.
All right, okay. Again, we'll explore that in a little bit more detail as this unfolds. DG, you, as I said, are the CEO, so you're busy running a lot of these projects and these initiatives and doing this coordination between departments, levels, and so on and so forth. Tell us a little bit about how, a sport even kind of has to work with you to make sure that these environmental issues don't disappear.
Thank you, Peter, and good morning to the viewers at home. My job, as you said, is that of being the head of administration in the department, and we have prescripts, first of all, that guide how we do and conduct ourselves in the public service. And I take myself as one leader in that environment that has to live up to the Batupili principles, making sure that we are able to facilitate sustainability and service delivery to our communities and society through seamless procedures and processes. And I may say that I think what we have internalized in terms of the public service values in our department, we've challenged ourselves in respect of how we conduct ourselves and how we then respond, being responsive and being a caring department. We have challenges in respect of mainstreaming the environmental outcomes or sustainability outcomes. However, I think, as the Minister indicated, from 1994 up to where we are today, I think we've done reasonably well, and we still have huge challenges. We have to work with economic clusters, departments, in respect of making sure that whatever developments, whether it's in the transport infrastructure sector, whether it's in the port infrastructure sector, whether it's in the building of the dams, whether it's in the industrial development area, we have to at least first have an environmental impact assessment undertaken. That is an instrument to facilitate an understanding of what could be potentially the impacts for the long term, and how do you then mitigate those? In instances where it is not possible to mitigate, whether there are other options to consider, and that then would enable our developments to entrench sustainability, so that when vulnerabilities arise, whether through climate variations in respect of what the Minister spoke about, at local government level, there must be plans that would assist us in that regard.
Okay, we will, again, I love saying this, but we will explore a lot of what you said. It's a great introduction. But Minister, maybe let's start exploring some of these themes. And part of the conversation we were talking, as I did the intro, is unlocking this sector for the youth. They are the most vulnerable in almost everything, whether unemployment or whatever, you name it. The young people of our country, right there. And I know that your department has been working to find ways to unlock this sector for the youth. I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk a little bit about what those initiatives have been and some of the changes that have taken place. But we'll be back right after this. At Morning Live SABC is our Twitter handle. Start tweeting your questions and your thoughts. We look forward to picking them up.